Marta was 19. She stood on the roof of the skyscraper, a tower of silver and glass that pierced the clouds, so high that the streets below were nothing but a grey blur. She looked down, and she did not feel fear. She felt anticipation. In this city, falling was not an end. It was a journey. It was the only way to reach the bottom, where the real life supposedly happened. So on a bright, crisp morning, wearing her best summer dress, Marta leaned forward and let herself go. She did not plummet like a stone. The air here was thick, rich, and slow. She floated downwards like a feather drifting in a lazy breeze. The first few floors were magnificent. The balconies were filled with the elite. Wealthy men in tuxedos, beautiful women drinking champagne. The sun was high and bright. They saw Marta falling past them and smiled. "Where are you going so fast, beautiful?" a man called out from the 81st floor. "Why don't you stop for a drink?" asked a woman wrapped in furs. Marta laughed, her hair dancing in the wind. "I can't," she shouted back, full of joy. "I'm in a hurry. I have to get to the bottom." She felt infinite. She checked her watch. It was only 10 a.m. She had the whole day ahead of her. The descent was a delightful game. The floors blurred by. The sun began to shift, moving from the east to the center of the sky. Marta continued to fall, but a strange heaviness began to settle in her chest. The wind felt a little colder. She passed the 50th floor. The people on the balconies here were still friendly, but they looked at her differently. They didn't look at her with desire, but with a mild pity. "You're making good time," someone said. Marta looked at her reflection in the glass windows. Her dress, it looked slightly out of fashion. Had she been falling that long? She looked at her watch. It was 2 p.m. "It's strange," she thought. "I thought I was moving faster." But she didn't stop. The gravity of the bottom was pulling her, promising her that the destination was worth the journey. And then the shadows lengthened. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in violet and grey. The air grew thin and cold. As Marta drifted past the 20th floor, she heard a sound above her. Whoosh! Whoosh! She looked up. Other girls were falling, but they were falling faster. They were diving past her, their laughter bright and sharp. They were wearing newer clothes, brighter colors. They were young. They were 19. Marta tried to speed up, to catch them, but her body felt heavy. She looked at her hands. They were wrinkled. She touched her face. It was tired. The people on the lower balconies didn't even notice her. They were too busy looking up at the fresh stream of falling girls raining down from the sky. "Look at them," the tenants whispered. "So young, so full of life." Marta was now just a shadow in the background, an old woman falling in slow motion. The ground was rushing up now. The streetlights flickered on. It was night. Marta looked down. The destination she had rushed towards her entire life was right there. The concrete. The end. She realized then, as the cold wind bit through her thin, old dress, that the fall was the life. There was no grand party at the bottom. There was only the thud. The tower loomed above her, an endless monolith of time. And Marta, an old woman who was once 19, closed her eyes and finally arrived.